My grandfather was not a man of many words. He believed lessons should arrive quietly, like dawn, felt before they are seen. In our family, he was the kind of elder whose silence could calm a room, whose eyes carried stories older than the roads we walked on. He never rushed judgment, never raised his voice. But when forgiveness was at stake, he became firm, not loud, but immovable. There came a time when one of my uncles, his own son, allowed bitterness to harden his heart. A misunderstanding with my aunt, small at first, grew into something poisonous. Words went unsaid. Pride stood taller than love. Days turned into months, and the bitterness deepened. My aunt tried to make peace. My grandfather pleaded gently, reminding him that anger ages faster than time itself. But my uncle refused. "I cannot forgive," he said. "What she did is too much." My grandfather listened. He always did. Then, one morning, he made a decision. We were preparing for a long journey. One of those family trips that stretched across dusty roads and endless skies. Before we left, my grandfather handed my uncle a small bag. Inside it was just one pebble. "Carry this with you," he said calmly. My uncle looked confused, but said nothing. As we walked, my grandfather told him, "Along the way, pick up any pebble you find. Add it to the bag." At first, it felt meaningless. The first pebble added nothing. The bag was light, almost forgettable. My uncle laughed it off. He walked easily, his steps quick, his shoulders relaxed. The second pebble came, then a third. Still nothing. But as the road stretched on, the pebbles multiplied. Smooth ones, sharp ones, heavy ones. Each pebble slipped into the bag without protest. After all, each one was small, insignificant on its own. An hour passed, then another. Slowly, something changed. My uncle adjusted the strap on his shoulder. The bag began to tug. His steps shortened. Sweat appeared on his brow. While the rest of the family walked ahead, talking, laughing, breathing freely, he began to lag behind. Still, he said nothing. By midday, the bag was no longer a burden he could ignore. It pulled him backward, dragging against his pace like an anchor. Each step required effort. His breathing grew heavy. His shoulders ached. Finally, he stopped walking altogether. My grandfather noticed. He took a few steps back and stood beside him. "Why are you falling behind?" he asked softly. My uncle dropped the bag to the ground. "It's too heavy," he said, frustrated. "I can't carry it anymore. It's pulling me back." My grandfather nodded. Then he said words that none of us ever forgot. "This journey," he said, "is life." My uncle looked up. "And that bag," my grandfather continued, "is your heart." Silence fell around us. "Each pebble you picked," he said, "was a moment of resentment. A word you refused to let go of. A memory you replayed. An offense you kept alive." My uncle stared at the bag. "No single pebble broke you," my grandfather said. "But together, they became unbearable." He placed his hand on my uncle's shoulder. "This is what happens when we refuse to forgive. We think holding on protects us, but only slows us down. While others move forward, we remain trapped, carrying weight we were never meant to bear." My uncle's eyes filled with tears. He knelt and opened the bag. One by one, he emptied the stones onto the ground. And with each pebble that fell, something else lifted. By the time he stood again, his shoulders were lighter, his steps steadier. He caught up with the family. That night, when we reached our destination, my uncle went to my aunt and asked for forgiveness. Not because he was told to, but because he finally understood. Forgiveness does not erase the past. It frees the future. And that was my grandfather's greatest lesson. Life is already a long journey. Do not make it heavier by carrying stones that were never meant to stay in your heart. Thanks for watching the Alchemy Daily, where stories change mindsets. If you enjoyed this story, please like and share it with your friends and family.